Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be doing a story time. It's not different from my other story times, but I would say it's definitely longer and has more details, so that's great. And you guys won't be more confused. Yeah, so this is gonna be a 4-part video. I thought I can make it into a 2-part, but honestly I don't have enough storage in my phone to record enough. But on the bright side, each of them are very detailed and have a lot of explanations and are very juicy. So yeah, let's just get into the video. I'm gonna be showing like just up close the products I use and stuff like that. If you guys want me to link them down below, just let me know and I'll just edit this description and I'll do that. I just wanted to make a quick little disclaimer that would really help me out. If you guys could not skip the ads and watch them fully, I would really appreciate it. Also, for a story time shout out, make sure to stay until the end of this video to figure out how you can get a shout out. I would really appreciate it if you could like, subscribe, share the video possibly to some people that are enjoying the story time. And let's actually get into it now. I'm sorry. So there was 4 different people. There was 1 girl and there was 3 guys. So let's name this girl Ivana. So I had met Ivana around the time I was like 11 or 12. We were in the same grade when we had met and we were best friends for 2-3 years almost, for a very long time. I didn't really notice that she liked me at first, but she pretty much had liked me the entirety of our friendship, which I had no idea about. So a couple of signs that I had missed was she was very attached to me. You know, she was just extremely attached to me for whatever reason and didn't like it when I was far apart from her. And you're probably thinking, oh, Raven, this is so cute. But sometimes she would just lash out on me and I'd have no idea why. And whenever I'd ask her why, she just wouldn't tell me. And she would continuously do that. You can't really see what this is, but this is just an eyebrow gel. But this would result in arguments sometimes. And, you know, it was really frustrating because she wouldn't tell me what the heck I was doing. But yeah, we soon forgave each other from time to time. So the more we got closer, she actually let me know that she was schizophrenic because a lot of the times I would notice that she would change personalities. And obviously this isn't a symptom of every single person that's schizophrenic, but in her case, this was. And it was not enjoyable dealing with multiple personalities. And, you know, I understand how it feels to have a neurodivergent brain, but a lot of times she would just use it as some kind of excuse. And I tried my best not to take it personally, but it was a lot for me. So something else I noticed that she'd do is she would downplay a lot of whenever I would date someone new. She would either say mean things like, oh, like they're too fat or they're too ugly or they're too this and they're too that. And honestly, it was like really insensitive. And obviously I wasn't going to like this because you were talking about potential partners that I had or partners that I was already with. And, you know, it was really frustrating dealing with this because sometimes she would say, oh, sorry, like it was this personality that came out, but you know, so there was no way of me actually knowing if it was her purposely doing it or if it was the actual personality coming out and doing it. And we would constantly get into arguments because of this. Although there was this one time where, you know, it was a valid point out. I was dating this guy, we'll call him Angel. And I was like 14 around the time. So this is flash forward 2 years. And actually, no, I was 13. So flash forward 1 year. Basically, he was 18.
Cut the cameras. Dead ass.
Ew. And he wanted to date me. And I didn't find this as a red flag. If anything, I found it as a flex because, you know, I can pull older guys. And when you're younger, you know, you think you have this this power, when in reality they have power over you. And, you know, he would brainwash me a lot of the time and say, oh, you're so mature for your age. Like, that's impressive, blah, 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 blah. When you only had one thing in mind. And, yeah, it was pretty bad. And, you know, I don't blame, Ivana for definitely calling me out when needed. But that was the only justifiable time. Other than that, all the other times were very unnecessary, very petty, not okay. Another red flag is she would dismiss a lot of the friendships I would have. If they weren't her friends, then she wouldn't like them. And she would do everything in her power to make them not be friends with me anymore. And it was pretty stressful and it was pretty insane how this would happen. I remember this one time I was friends with this girl And she was actually really sweet, and there was absolutely like nothing wrong with her. And she would bully and ridicule this girl constantly, and it was so bad. And again, she would say it was our other personalities, but I was pretty much convinced that it was her at this point. But, you know, she ended up apologizing, and she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I'll really work on controlling my other personalities and, you know, making them not say these certain things. I just get jealous sometimes. And I was like, you get jealous? I was like, why do you get jealous? I don't understand. Like, she's like, oh, I'm afraid they'll take you away from me and that I'll lose you. And I was like, Ivana, like, you don't have to feel that way. You're my best friend. Because why would I ever cut you off for someone else? But I couldn't just keep dealing with the disrespect. It was getting exhausted, you know what I mean? So she kind of worked on it, but not really. Like, a lot of the times she would say my friend choices would be shady, which some of them were, but other times they really weren't. So one day, me and her were at the park as usual because, I don't know, we would just like to go to the park, and she didn't have much freedom, so the park was her only way of getting some. And, you know, we were just sitting down, and one day she turned to me, and she was like, Raven, I like you. And I was like,
oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the...
Okay, there were two reasons why this was an issue. One, I was not physically attracted to her at all. I did not physically find her attractive. Two, I didn't physically find her attractive. She was just really ugly to me. But back then, I didn't understand that not finding someone attractive wasn't vain. You just didn't find someone attractive. So, you know, I wanted to say no, and I said yes. So, after that, she asked me out. And you know what I did? I said yes.
Flop. Girl, you have done it again. Constant lowering the bar for us all.
So after I had accepted, she was really excited, and we were officially girlfriend and girlfriend. And what I had storing coming for me, I was not very happy about at all. So everything was fine, but then I went public at school with our relationship, and honestly, there was a lot of mixed reactions. Some people were happy for me, but most people were saying that she was ugly. And I agreed. So, you know, when I established that I wasn't attracted to her, I continued dating her.
What do you mean by that?
Because I was scared of losing her as a person. And that is the first thing I should have not done at all. Nobody should ever do this. I'm using the wrong palette in order. So, you know, I just was like, okay, well, let's thug it out because, you know, like, I don't want to be like a vain person, not be attracted to someone. You should always like someone based off their personality. But as I grew up to realize, you should, yes, be attracted to their personality. Obviously, you know, looks aren't everything. You're not going to date a model that's like 6'4" and has the perfect jawline and perfect face, you know, that you decided to create, you know, of your fantasies. That's just not how it works. But at the time, I just thought, for whatever reason, that, you know, not fully being satisfied with someone, especially not for their looks, was not okay. This problem bothered me so much to the point where I would go to school some days and ask people around, be like, do you think she's ugly? And, you know, I don't know. I'm pretty sure I asked like a majority of my gal friends at some point if she was ugly. And they pretty much all said yes, and that I was doing charity work. And you know what I decided to do? I decided to finally break up with her. Just kidding. I continue to stay with her. So I remember there was this one time where we got into a really bad fight. Because I was venting about, I think her mom like was yelling at me or something like that. Like we were like in a place where you practice a religion, and pretty much like her mother screamed at me, which no one else should be yelling at anybody else's kid no matter what they're doing. That's just not your place. And she yelled at me pretty bad. So I was venting to another friend about it. Let's call her S. And I was just telling her like, yo, like this shit just isn't okay. Like the way she yelled at me like wasn't okay at all whatsoever. And this other friend knew, of my ex-girlfriend's current issue. Like, they knew what she went through and that her mother was pretty strict, and we pretty much just talked about it. I didn't bad talk her mother at all whatsoever. I was just expressing how frustrated I was. And I ended up telling, you know, my current girlfriend at the time that I had done this, and she was pretty upset. And I didn't really understand why she was upset in the first place. But she was talking about, oh, you're ruining my mother's reputation, blah, 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 blah. I was like, what do you mean ruining your reputation? Like, nobody cares about your mom. And that's exactly what I said. And, you know, she got offended. I didn't really understand that, but she wasn't explaining it to me right. And two, I only thought she genuinely cared about, like, how people would view her mom. So later then on, I apologized. It wasn't the most genuine apology because, again, I didn't really understand, but yeah, like, I don't know, I just apologized. I remember there was this other argument when I was young, and you know how you see those TikTok videos and how they post really obnoxious desserts and sweets? Yeah, so I ended up, like, making a comment about that on my Snapchat story. I was like, no thanks, I'd rather not get diabetes. Like, as a joke, because I had made a joke prior when we all walked into McDonald's. I was like, smells like fresh diabetes. And they were laughing, so I presumed that she was comfortable with jokes that, you know, involved diabetes or whatever. But she had messaged me, and she was like, oh, I really don't appreciate that joke that you made. I was like, I don't understand. It's just a joke. Like, why are you know what I mean? Like, why does this make you upset? Because I was confused because I made jokes about diabetes prior. And she was laughing, and she would have told me if she was bothered by it. And she was like, my mom has diabetes. Like, you know, this is quite offensive and stuff like that. And then I was like, well, don't watch the story. And the reason why I responded so insensitively was because, one, I didn't understand why she was so bothered by it. And two, I had, like, no idea why I offended her in the first place. Mind you, she was really bad at explaining things. I'm not gonna lie, I responded in a snappy way because, again, I didn't understand where she was coming from. And I was like, there, I'm sorry, I apologize. Are you happy now? Hey guys, just wanted to make a quick interlude. Here are the shoutouts. Thank you so much for not skipping the ads. If you want a shout out, make sure to stay tuned for the rest of the video. So after that, we ended up, like, you know, making up or whatever. And we both didn't find it to be a big deal after that. But I definitely didn't understand what I did because she wasn't explaining it to me, but now I know obviously that that's wrong. Our relationship pretty much advanced a lot. It was to the point where we did Twister. You get what I mean? You're picking up what I'm putting down, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, obviously this was bringing us closer, but I still had the same problem. Not being physically attracted to her. And I talked to a couple of my friends about it, and they were like, listen, dude, like, you should be honest if you're not physically attracted to her. I couldn't tell any friends that, you know, we were mutual friends with because I had a fear that they would tell her before I did. One day I was going to do it, but she ended up giving me a promise ring the same day I was going to tell her. So after that, we continued dating for a pretty long time. Like, it was about 8 months. It got really serious to the point where we were talking about having kids and getting married. And you know what? I meant those things, but what I was forgetting that was that physical attraction was very important. So I finally decided to inform her of how I felt. And you know, I was like, hey, listen, Ivana, I gotta tell you something. And she was like, yeah, babes, what's up? And I was like, I don't want to be with you anymore. And she was like, what do you mean by that? And, you know, I was like, listen, dude, like, I just don't have feelings for you anymore. And I kid you not, the way she reacted was insane. Like, don't get me wrong, I can understand being upset, you know, when your partner is about to break up with you and you had really strong feelings for them. Especially when it was mostly one-sided. But she was like, I don't understand how you could sit here and lose feelings. I knew I should have never dated you. I hate people like you. I was like, what? Like, this was news to me because, you know, obviously I was imperfect, but I wasn't horrible. Like, if anything, I was dealing with more. I was dealing with way more, and I was containing myself. You know, she was like, I knew I never should have dated you. My sister said to never date you. I was like, so why did you date me? She was finally like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say those things. And she was like, oh, can we still stay friends or whatever? I was like, no. Like, not at all. And, you know, she was like, please, I just want to keep the streaks or whatever. Listen, I was 12, 14, but I wasn't stupid. I know exactly how this works. You say you want to keep the streaks, then you're gonna be like, oh, can we be friends again? I just straight up told her no. How did I lose feelings? So, who gonna tell her? Obviously, I wasn't finna sit here and tell sis that she was ugly. Like, that's just messed up. And beauty is very subjective. So I was just like, I got bored. And she was like, how did you get bored? I was like, I don't know. I don't really feel like talking about it. I cut her off. I had to block her on social media. So a couple years later, high school rolls around, and a lot of people, you know, remind me. They're like, oh, remember that one girl you dated? What was her name? And I was like, Ivana. And they were like, yeah, that girl. I shouldn't have done this, but I was a little petty. And I released some information about her body that I didn't like. Specifically her kitty cooter. And things I didn't enjoy about it when we did Twister. And, you know, I felt really bad for what I was doing. And apparently one of my other mutual friends was texting her, and she was pretty upset about it. And I was like, yeah, I know, I was wrong. You know, if she wants, I can apologize to her. Actually, I want to apologize to her, and a lot of other things as well that I've realized as I've gotten older. And she was like, well, what do you need to apologize for? You know, that's what she said to the other friend. And it's like, girl, what do you mean? I had no interest in being friends with her. Not at all. Absolutely none. So I tried apologizing, but she wouldn't add me back on Snapchat, and that was that. I really hope you guys enjoyed this story as much as I loved recording it. This was nice. This was very peaceful, very relaxing. So, how you can get the shout outs, which I know you guys have been waiting for. So, I want you to comment down below. I didn't skip the ads with a heart emoji. And if you can't have an emoji, just type it like this. It's completely fine. Either one is valid. Make sure you're subscribed. I do be checking. And I would really appreciate if you could like this video and share it with the people that may like it, because it really helps me out. And yeah, if you want to submit your own story time for the future after I'm done with this little series, check the description down below and I will definitely take your story into consideration, and you may be a lucky one and see it pop up on my channel. I'll see you guys in the next one, okay? Bye. Bum, 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 bum.